Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
We go, ladies and gentlemen, on a Wednesday. Lots to talk about. Happy opening day and opening week to all of you Fredheads out there. All of our baseball fans, Yankees, Giants, really in it for it all. On the Snake Sports Talk Show, wherever and however you may be watching and listening. Thanks for making us part of your day in Denver, live on Roku, iHeartRadio, and X Squad Radio. Really appreciate everybody for joining us here up and on the program. We got a stacked show here tonight. Former NFL cornerback Mark Collins is going to be joining us on the program, two-time Super Bowl champion with the Giants. Then also Erik Coleman, the former safety, is joining us talking Jets and Falcons. And Brian Tollberg, the former MLB pitcher. We're going to be talking a lot about opening day memories and so much more. So I want to start with this here today. So opening day is today with the Yankees and the Giants. So everybody knows in opening day, this is where the season, the long 162 game stretch starts. And it's tough. It's tough for everybody. And the thing about opening day, what I really love is so much of going outside, being at your favorite ballpark, watching your favorite stars. And of course, everybody's getting their beers and drinks and they're having a good time. But the one thing about opening day, which will be interesting, I'm interested to see with the automated strike zones and how a lot of our accuracy with strikes and with balls, how accurate that will possibly be for umpires this season. Because we all knew the last few years, we've had umpires who have completely whiffed on calls, and especially for the accuracy of the game. It's not trying to change or take away the morale of the game where you still have, managers discussing. Managers sometimes loses their marbles depending on a situation, a play, and a call that happens. But this MLB season is going to be interesting for a multitude of reasons. Everybody, they're throwing shade at the Dodgers, and they got so much money and all these players. They can't compete with that. But yet, you still have the Mariners, who themselves were the number 2 seed when it came to power rankings. And I will have my top 10 MLB teams this season that I look at that I think, truthfully, when I look at top to bottom, competency, and so much more of the team that will strive to be the best in the American League. But there are many teams like this. Now, the other thing that's also going to be interesting is a lot of those small ball guys, the ones that built through the draft, the ones that built through their farm systems, and even with the salary cap, and I've talked with many pros about this, because you got to spend a lot more than your normal. The Dodgers have been spending more, but they're very smart about the players that they do prospect and the players they do go and scout, and and they end up trying to recruit. But that's where teams like the Pirates, the A's, the Marlins, and the Nationals they all got to be up and onto the similar positions. And so with the Pirates, I mean, think about it. Michael McKinry was on here. We discussed about it with Connor Griffin, who's going to be starting his year in Indianapolis, arguably baseball's number one best prospect in the league. You're going to have to start up from somewhere. But you go get Marcell Ozuna. You try to slowly build these guys up. And then when they're catching fire and they got momentum, then it's all the best in the world. So there are many different shifts, many different changes. But I am excited to really see what the season is truthfully all about. But, there's going to be lots of, I'm sure, discouraging comments. A lot of just, we can't compete with this. I mean, it's baseball. The first 3 months are always fun. But you still got to be competitive enough to earn your spots. You still got to be competitive enough to really, make something out of nothing. I mean, you look at the Tigers, you look at multitudes of teams, even the Kansas City Royals. The Royals themselves are going to be a team that I would say end up striving for the wild card. So there's many different aspects, but baseball's fun. And so it's a lot of fun. It's great. So I was thinking about this, transitioning to the NFL. So there's this debate and discussion. Now, we know the draft is going to be coming up next month, always on the tail end in Pittsburgh. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the discussion today that I thought was interesting is Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson. So people are thinking Ty Simpson is better and much more NFL ready than Fernando Mendoza. Now, nobody really truthfully can predict the future, okay? If you had a crystal ball up and in front of you, nobody can really predict the future. You can't even predict if the certain scheme sets are really going to be benefiting and catering to these players. Like, offensively, defensively, it doesn't matter. It always comes down to who your coach is, your coaching staff, and all this. So I look at it this way. Ty Simpson, SEC quarterback. Fernando Mendoza, Big Ten quarterback. What's distinct about the both of them is Fernando Mendoza clearly is a top 10 prospect. There's no question. And what I thought which was interesting when I looked at both of them and when it looked to their efficiency ratings, there was so much that was broken down about both of them. So let's start with Fernando Mendoza, the number one overall pick, right? So with Fernando, he was part of a foundation. Last year, 3,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, and had a passer rating of 182. So the thing about Fernando Mendoza was in a lot of his games, he had 72 completion percentage all throughout the year. But if you're looking at the trajectory in splits, okay, game logs, I will look at both of these. You know what was funny is the only time Fernando Mendoza ever threw over a 300-yard game was one time against Michigan State. That was all throughout the season. But many of them have been 193, 245, 270, 267, 233. But many people aren't really looking at the amount of yards that he's throwing, but they're looking more of the accuracy, the efficiency. But Fernando Mendoza, you also got to think about as part of a foundation from Indiana because they go and have a perfect season. They win the national championship, but they were predicated to a few things. Is one, they had a ferocious physical defense. Two, they had a trench warfare run game. And, Kurt Cignetti, I'll make the argument, being around a guy like Nick Saban and company was a guy that really was smart, who knew exactly how to build those foundations. And so in Indiana, they went on a spurt where first year, was the year in which they were very competitive and physical, and they were competent, especially in the Big Ten, because many people know the Big Ten is physical, the Big Ten is competitive, and And I also do think that even with amongst the SEC, I'll make the argument that I think the Big Ten has many of these players that are physical that can honestly get the job done, even if you have a healthy run game, a healthy offensive line, a front seven that can get after it, and even, a skill-based and very aggressive secondary. So Indiana, they had it all. And all Fernando Mendoza, and many people will make the argument thinking he's a game manager. Well, he's accurate by his touch when it comes to the short pass. He's also somebody that could utilize his legs to go and stretch for first downs because he's a competitor. That's who Fernando Mendoza is all about. Now, Ty Simpson, and everybody knows Alabama quarterbacks, we all know the only anomaly to this that has found its successes and has won a Super Bowl is Jalen Hurts. But he ended up transferring to Oklahoma. So he learned from best of both worlds. You had Nick Saban and with Lincoln Riley in his tenure. But Greg McElroy, A.J. McCarron, Tua, and even Mac Jones, and even Jalen Milroe. Ty Simpson got hurt the season before and then comes in and in only 15 games starts. 3,500 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 5 picks, and his passer rating was way up and over, almost close to 200s. But here was also the difference in both these quarterbacks is Ty Simpson only threw over 300 passing yards 3 times in the season and has only thrown 5 picks. But, they came up into a long stretch. It wasn't a great show up against Florida State. I think everybody knew it. But he was still efficient enough to get the yards, get the scores. But it was a tough game all the way around because Alabama was just not really prepared for Florida State. And, you look at the Georgia game, doesn't throw a pick, 63 completion percentage. And, you could play Tennessee, Missouri, and Oklahoma, and even LSU. And the funny thing is they faced Oklahoma twice, lost in the regular season, and won in the SEC championship. And, Ty Simpson, to me, I think is an efficient quarterback, but is he truthfully a day one starter? And that's what everybody is trying to figure out because everybody looked at his pro day. He was throwing accurately, kind of got a little bit bigger, and has a really good arm. He's a 6'2" quarterback. And with Fernando Mendoza and with Ty Simpson, these are arguably only the 2 quarterbacks I would consider is competent. The rest of them are projects because the competent quarterback class is not coming out until next year. I mean, everybody knows it. So you have that. And I'll make the argument, I think Fernando Mendoza, do I believe Fernando has the tools and the capabilities to overcome what the Raiders have been dealing with for over 20 plus years? That is left to be said. It's tough. It's pressurizing. But with the right coach and the right foundation, I think Fernando Mendoza could do it. But then I look at Ty Simpson, and to me, I think he's got to get some more time, get some more reps. If you either go and get drafted to the Jets, I think an interesting one will be the Detroit Lions, because who knows how much longer that you're going to deal with Jared Goff before the cap hit himself, but you want to be overly prepared. Do the Lions honestly take quarterback this year and then think about next year where they may end up getting somebody even higher or they go into a different draft position? So I think the 2 of them are the competent quarterbacks. Do I think one is either better than the other? Well, in certain aspects, you look at different competition from the SEC and the Big Ten. It's much more physical in the Big Ten, but Fernando Mendoza, I think quick release, very good touch, and could honestly run for first downs and extend plays on offense. Whereas Ty Simpson, accurate, capable to throw the deep ball, but I also do think as long as he's comfortable in a rhythm in the pocket, that's what will define it the most. So I really didn't know like this whole blowing up of Ty Simpson's probably more NFL ready than Fernando Mendoza, but that'll be left to be said when we actually see it post the draft and when they go and they get their first touches out on the football field. Good stuff. Mark Collins around the corner. I'm excited for what the vibes in New York are feeling like with John Harbaugh and with all and company, Jackson Dart, Cam Scadaboo. There's so much to talk about what's going to be changing in New York. So really would love to get his insights on that here coming up next. All right, folks. Well, as 2026 the NFL draft next month, and then also playoff hockey in basketball and opening night between the Giants and the Yankees. All you can look at when it comes to odds, when it comes to wagers and player pick'ems, check out our partners at Payday Fantasy today. Your go-to player pick'em, whether up and on your desktop or on your mobile device through Google Play in the App Store. They got so many different competitions and so many different contests for you every day of every week. And Payday Fantasy, the best part, when you sign up, however you do it, you'll get a free $5 entry just by choosing us and checking out the app for yourself. All you got to do is pick the player, pick the outcome, sit back and relax, have yourself a cocktail. That's what I love to do. Or get yourself some popcorn, whatever you need to. Go sit back, relax, and watch the games. And when you hit, that's the best part. But on top of all of that, my free gift to you is by using promo code SNAKE that guarantees you 100% deposit match bonus of up to $100. That's promo code SNAKE. Download Payday Fantasy on your mobile device through Google Play in the App Store today and get paid with Payday Fantasy.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Two-time Super Bowl champion and was very crucial in the championships, winning them the bowl. Joining us, talking New York Giants football, Mark Collins joins us on the program. All right, Mark, I'm getting some positivity smelling in the air in New York for many reasons because, listen, New York needed some sort of push. They needed some sort of change up in culture. So now in comes John Harbaugh, right?
Right. But hold on, Jake. I'm going to tell you something. First of all, thanks for having me. Number two, the league really ain't the league unless the New York Giants are winning. A team in New York's winning. Not the Jets, but the Giants. I think the league is much more exciting when the Giants are in it. But, mean to cut you off, but yeah, we're excited about having Harbaugh there. I mean, I'm glad that he chose the Giants. And in my opinion, I tend to think it was the best job available. I mean, everybody wants to work in New York. Everybody wants to win in New York. And that Giants roster is not really indicative of that 4-13 record. That roster is pretty good. Just a few pieces were missing. And of course, a new head coach. So we got that.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Mark, because I watched these Giants from multiple spurts. I mean, watching film as a kid and watching the old schools of when you played in your playing career in New York with Bill Parcells, and then even up to when they win the Super Bowls with Tom Coughlin in those areas. So, to me, they needed this because after Tom Coughlin left, it felt like there were so many different spurts of, Pat Shurmurs, the Ben McAdoo's, and the Joe Judges. And I'm like, can't we just get a consistent, competent guy, and even up and into the front offices where you got the Mara family, and I mean, to the point where they had to send out a public apology to every Giants fan. You know what I mean? So now in comes John Harbaugh. And listen, Harbaugh brothers are so competent. They live and breathe football, but it feels a lot like a breath of fresh air in the building. And for many Giants fans, they're excited about this because Jackson Dart clearly looks like a hit. Cam Scatterbo, I mean, you're running the football, and it's classic because of the way I think of, you know, the Brandon Jacobs and Derek Wards and Ahmad Bradshaw, Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I'm like, if you could recreate that and then have a ferocious defense that knows how to shut down, Mark, they can double their wins this year.
Well, I think so too. You know, but you know, you go back, you know, over the last maybe 10 years or so, the Giants, they kept missing on coaches. These upstart guys are like, man, what the hell are you doing? It's like giving car keys to a 16-year-old kid to a flipping Lamborghini. You don't do that, you know? And all the misses. You know, I think the front office got it right this time. I think the draft picks, they'll pan out, especially this last year's class with Abdul Carter as well. Jackson Dart knows. They look good. They really do. The foundation is set. And this is something that the Giants never had before over the last 10 years, is stability really at the coaching level.
Yes.
I think John Harbaugh comes in and brings that credibility, brings that stability to move ahead, move forward, at least to build for a consistent run of wins and hopefully get a championship or two out of it.
Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting because I'm curious to see what that war room is going to look like when we get to the tail end of April, because there are discussions, like a lot of the speculation is on Joe Schoen. I mean, people already know they trust Harbaugh enough. He's going to bring in his guys. He's going to find the right guys that fit the culture that he wants. I mean, he brought in Isaiah Likely, the tight end. He brought in a bunch of other defensive and offensive players. So they trust him. But when you look at Joe Schoen, I mean, the viral clip on the net, you know, the Hard Knocks was not something that was a good look itself. So you had to make it up. So
well, on our show, the Giant Squad show on Locked On, we spoke about Joe Schoen and how he kept his job. I tend to think he's not running the show. It's Harbaugh and the new accounting person, Donna Ponte. They're doing the stuff. She's a cap manager for the Giants. Joe had to take a step back, and he's not calling the shots. We tend to believe, and I as well, think it's Coach Harbs. He's calling the shots because he's built that before. He's done it before. He knows how to do it. Well, Joe, he made a few good picks, especially last year, but that Saquon Barkley deal that blew up in his face, that didn't bode too well. And the Daniel Jones re-signing, that blew up in his face as well. So he had to take a step back, find Dable, keeping Joe Schoen. He had to relinquish some of that power. Now, Coach Harbaugh has, I think, not complete autonomy of the team, but damn near close. So, and that's a good thing. And that's sometimes you need that kind of deal to get you right. And I think Joe Schoen is going, you know what? Okay, I'll relinquish some of that power, and I think it came from upstairs as well, to let John Harbaugh do what he does well to make this thing work. So Coach Harbaugh will have a lot to say about who they draft. You saw the free agents they brought in. Most of the free agents they brought in were on one-year deals, and that's for a reason. And they're veteran guys. These are guys who are 3, 4, 5, 8 years in the league, one-year deals. They have to do that because of cap space. There were no voidable contracts with the last accounting person, GM, to do some stuff like that. So it kind of backfired on the Giants. But overall, I like the foundation that Coach Harbaugh is doing with Donna Ponte. I like it, and we'll see where they go in the draft.
Yeah, I like it too. And I agree with you, because even with these one-year deals, these are guys that are proving whether or not.
Yeah.
Like, you're here to set the culture standard. I think of it this way. I mean, his brother Jim did the same thing in LA. I mean, he came in, brought in the people that he wanted, And on top of all of that, they played with house money, and yet they went 11-6. So to do that and to be in a division where the Philadelphia Eagles and Howie Roseman's just an absolute wizard as a GM, you got the Cowboys who knows? It's either sink or swim for them. Can you get it right, or is this just going to be another Jerry Jones factor? And then, Washington. Does Jaden Daniels bulk a little bit to kind of deal with the hits, but still be elusive enough to bounce back in 26? So I was thinking about this. I don't know how you feel, but defensively, I felt as though when they made the signings, like you had a Bobby Akirike, you had a Kayvon Thibodeau, and then you had Brian Burns. Mark, I think of it this way. I looked at the offensive line, and yes, it was competent as a pass defense offensive line. But as far as runs, when you need to open up gaps, when you need to follow through with where you're running the ball, the direction, I feel like that you could double down it more because you're building that foundation. I felt if you could trade one of those pieces and get some capital back, right, to go and fix one area, and then you can make it up because you wouldn't be paying anybody anything. I mean, even with Abdul Carter. So how you look at this team, I think it's built for run the football efficiently, shut down defense to stop the run. And I think, especially in a corners and secondary class, you could utilize somebody that can match the speed of a top receiver and shut it down, whether pass defense or somebody that could just be a pick machine.
I would go to defense first. I think what they had last year was very formidable, but for some reason, it didn't work. And I think it didn't work because of play calling. The schemes that the Giants were calling, they will work at first, and they will make great adjustments. You watched the Denver game last year, how they couldn't stop Denver at the last part of the game, and they lost the game. Same thing happened in New Orleans. And that's same with the offense. But on defense, you got Abdul Carter, hell of a player. Okereke is gone. You got Burns is there. Lawrence is there. You got some great players there. What do you do at that 5 spot? How do you want to build this thing? They brought a lot of free agents, corners, Newsome at the corner. So how do you build it? Do you want to shut down corner? Would that be a need at 5? Absolutely. If Styles is there at 5, would you take him? I can see them taking that too. Because the Giants need to stop the run. Okay? You got guys right now. If you don't take Styles at 5 and you take a corner, you got a good mix of guys up there right now, especially after signing Edmonds from Chicago. You got good run stoppers and pass rushers. You can stop that. So you can go get a corner. Right. I like that move. Cool. You can do that. Now on offense, what do you do? Do you know his neighbor's going to be okay? Do you need to get a receiver? I would say that too. Or do you need a running back? Get Love. That's a high value at the 5 spot for a running back. My deal is this: you don't get the rewards after 4 or 5 years in the running back, unless you're Saquon Barkley, and those backs don't come every year, So do you waste that? Do you put that on 5 and running back? So the Giants, I tend to think, Jake, that the Giants are in a great situation.
Yes,
they have. It's not a total rebuild at all. It's just perfect pieces that you need to put in place. So what do we do? Well, gosh, I just gave some great examples, great points. It all depends on the need. I think right now the need really, if you want to keep Jackson Dart viable, you got to draft at some point, 2nd, 3rd round. You got to get a guard or a tackle. Okay.
Yes.
At that number 5 spot, you better get a receiver, because I don't know if Neighbors going to be the same after that knee injury. So you better have a wideout and more weapons around him. You got Likely, but you need another wideout to open it up. So that could go either way. I like the situation, and I know how Harbaugh works. I tend to think they'll do the right thing.
And it's funny. I think about it because they are one of a couple teams in this draft. I think both New York teams are in great positions because they can control their destinies this way. Because the Giants, I think of it this way: the first 3 rounds, in my opinion, I would definitely go Sonny Styles, because you need to find a way to make up for after Xavier McKinney went to Green Bay. You need to have somebody in that secondary to really shut it down. And I think for receiver, I would keep tabs on someone like Denzel Boston, because to me, Get somebody up and on the outsides, hash marks, because, yeah, if whatever happened with Neighbors after the injury, I mean, he's still young, he'll recover, but what is the foot technique going to look like? And then I'll make the argument in the third, I would definitely maybe get an offensive lineman from here, because because you can honestly, with how deep the running back class is, you can get a running back in the back half, because you're already going to be leading it with Tyron Tracy and Cam Scattaboo, and get somebody as your joker secret weapon up and in there where you need burst runs in situational runs, and then slowly get him up and into there. So I think of it as like when Harbaugh had someone like Keaton Mitchell, and, so somebody with the extra speed. So I think he'll figure that out. But those first three, Sonny Styles, receiver, and definitely an offensive lineman from here. I think those three, you nail them, the Giants are definitely going to look better.
Yeah, I like that as well. I just think in today's NFL, you better have a corner who can cover.
Yes.
You got to you can't have just guys out there. You need somebody who could shrink that field for you to close up the middle. And the Giants, they tried to do it with a Debo last year. Banks didn't work out as well as a draft pick. So it's been a while. So you need a corner. But I agree for the most part, and they do the offensive lineman. Here's something I'm gonna throw at you, Jake, real quick. And we haven't talked about it. Now we dabble in it a little bit on my show. I think Thibodeau will be a draft day trade, and I'll tell you why.
Yes,
he's not a bad player, far from it. And I just think the Giants, he's a very good player, very productive, still young. I think the Giants are holding him out and I think there's talk around the league that we'll give you this player if we can, some kind of trade for draft. Maybe trade out of the fifth pick. I don't know. But something's going on, because that's a name that no one's talked about in the Giants folklore as a dominant player or as a player who was going to stay there. Now, maybe I'm just spouting out. I just got a feeling that this man, because this is his fifth-year deal, and I don't think the Giants really took the option to secure that fifth year. I'm not sure they did. But
I don't think they did, because it was more of a prove it.
Yeah. So with that, there might be a draft day trade or something. What do you think?
I was thinking about that, because you know what? I spoke about Kayvon Thibodeau all during the season, and I said it this way. This might make you laugh. But to me, it's like, look, I understand the Giants with a nostalgic feel, okay? Kiwanuka, O.C. Umenyiora, Justin Tuck, Michael Strahan. That team that won the Super Bowl, they already had a foundation. This team last year didn't even know what they had in their foundation. So to me, like, you're getting Brian Burns, Bobby Okereke, Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, and then Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm like, why are you stacking so much on the front seven? To me, I would have moved Kayvon, because to me, it doesn't feel like he's part of the future plans. But you can still get compensation back for him to go and address in a different position later, because that spot now can open up and make sense for guys like Abdul Carter and the rest of them, and focus more.
Yeah. So you're saying they should have did it last year?
Yeah, I really think they should have done it last year in the middle of the trade deadline, because, one, he's young. You can get me. I'm all about a strike when the iron is hot type of guy.
Sure.
And then the Giants, they can come back, regroup by the time that we get into the draft, like we are now, and then figure out how many positions can we fill off this compensation to make up for this.
Yeah. I just think at this point, if it was done last year, before the season started, they looked real great on paper. But the season started in some of those funky losses. It all went to hell in the handbasket. And maybe they should have traded him, but he was hurt during the season as well. So that kind of stymied their hands as well. But I just think you can't talk about what could have been. We look at that now. So if you look at now, and if they moved him now, draft day or a week before, whatever, to get draft picks, it won't be bad. I mean, if you get a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, whatever, get something for him, because if after his fifth year he can walk, you're not getting nothing for him. So you got to make something happen while you can.
Because you know what? If I could have gotten a second rounder or even a third rounder and I can double dip, I could do that up and into this draft. Because like we talked about, running back position, either you could probably take a running back either in that last portion of the third to go into the fourth, maybe. Yeah, that would very much boost up the potential that this offense would have. So I think that could have been the solution up for it, and still could be. But we'll wait to see up and on draft night. Kansas City, to me, so obviously the Chiefs missing the playoffs, and they come back and they re-signed Travis Kelce, which is an interesting contract because it's technically 1 year, but they are reserving the next 2 years if he decides to play. So they'll still compensate him up from here. I would make the argument that the Chiefs now, they've got their running back in Kenneth Walker, and they've got Brashard Smith. They won't need to go running back unless they go a little bit later on. But to me, it's either a few things. How do we handle the interior guards? How do we handle, our tight end position when Travis Kelce is gone? Do we still go with Noah Gray? And even they have that offensive kid, Jared Wiley, which hopefully he'll get more reps. Or do we go a big splash in a corners draft and go and get a corner after you just traded Trent McDuffie to the Rams?
I think the Chiefs will go. They're going to try to. And I've been thinking about this too. You lost both your corners.
Yes.
And Noah Spags and Dave Merritt, my smoking cigar buddy. You need corners in Spags defense.
Yeah.
You do. So I'll start with defense first. Do you take, a Mansour? You take him at 9 or 29. It all depends. There's a high value. I tend to think they won't do that. But they do need corners. So that's one thing. They could also use another pass rusher.
Yes.
So that's also on the books for them. They got the work cut out for them. I don't discount them because they've been right more times than wrong. So I think they'll get defense fixed. I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah.
On the offensive side now, hell, we don't know if Rice is going to be, healthy up here. Worthy has some issues as well. And the Chiefs on offense, what they usually do, they build from the outside in.
Yes.
That makes sense. They want to throw the ball. And then it finally caught up to them because you can't just throw the ball because when the team knows you could just throw the ball and they can take people away, and Kelce's a little older and the outside guys aren't stretching the field, and they know you can't run the ball worth a damn, then you get in trouble. Then your quarterback, Mahomes, has to kind of run for his life and gets hurt. And Patrick doesn't run to run the ball. He runs to open plays up, and he only runs when he has to. Right. So back to our debate here. I think the Chiefs will go with a wide receiver because they need somebody. They got the run. I think they got the running game fixed.
Yes.
I'm not too concerned with the offensive line. I think the last 3 years they went offensive line first round, first pick. Last 2 or 3 years, I could be wrong. At least first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
They went offensive line. They'll be okay. Those guys got to gel. It takes time. I think they're set. They're good on the front line. They got their running back they want. They got to start thinking about, okay, you got Kelce back. We need somebody on the outside who can stretch the field so they can't double Travis. I think you got 2 or 3 good guys who could get open and could run. I mean, run. That will open up Kelce even more to be productive. He may not be the Travis Kelce of 5-6 years ago,
right?
But I would still take the Travis Kelce now over probably 6 to 15 tight ends in the league right now because he's smart. He knows how to do it. So, yeah, they got some issues to iron out, but I like where they're at as well because they're not rebuilding. They're just moving some pieces around, get things going.
Yeah, I think it's more of a rejuvenation with Kansas City, especially with the AFC West getting as competitive as it is. I mean, you got a Harbaugh there. You got Denver, who won the division for the first time since 15. Yep. And then who knows what the Raiders are honestly going to look like. I mean, I have my thoughts on, the number 1 overall pick. Does Fernando Mendoza, is he really the be-all, end-all that can really turn around a 20-plus year dysfunction the Raiders have had for years. Because to me, I think he's competent being from the Big Ten and physicality and Clint Kubiak understanding the offense and winning it this way. So, I mean, there's many different situations that can really pan itself out.
Yeah, but that's a lot to put on a guy.
It really is.
It's a lot. But, you know, and I don't know the guy, but any quarterback in that situation, any player in that situation, and we'll talk quarterback because that's the guy. Because once you're number one and you're the boss. You're the CEO. This is on you. You're the face of the team. But, you know, I just tend to think a young guy like that, Kubiak's there, I think they'll put him in good situations as long as he has a good mix of players around him that can make it work. And I think watching this young man speak, which speaking has nothing to do with playing, obviously.
Right.
But the way he controls himself, if he can withstand some of the pressures of being in Vegas, being the number one overall pick, and all that pressures that come with it. Okay, that's a lot, man, and a lot of people can't handle it. They can't.
Yeah.
But hopefully he can, and if the Raiders pull that trigger, and make it happen, I think they'll put some pieces around him. He's going to take his lumps, no doubt about it, because the AFC West is pretty loaded. So.
Absolutely.
So
there's plenty to go around up and in this division. Well, Mark, appreciate you for coming on by, man. And listen, happy opening day to everybody. The Yankees and the Giants. Rich history, by the way, because you had three teams in New York. You know, you had the Giants, the Yankees, and then the Blue Bums of Brooklyn with the Brooklyn Dodgers. So what a way to kick it off. The first time on Netflix, man. I'm going to be enjoying this game, but appreciate you. Thank you for coming on by, and we'll definitely see what the Giants got in store from the draft and the up-and-coming season. Take care, my friend.
See you, buddy. Be good.
Absolutely. Oh, man, yeah. And this is the excitement that New York has been needing for quite a long time. You know, it's a breath of fresh air, and I agree. I think a lot of this is that, you know, they got the guys up front. If they could really figure out getting the secondary position right and then opening up to, I like actually the thought of getting a receiver, because to me, I think Denzel Boston would be somebody that I would keep tabs on. I would even consider a couple of other really good specialists, because you lost Wan'Dale Robinson. You lost a couple of guys to free agency. So they need to have a couple fill-in guys that are going to really work out this roster. So I think it's truthfully an interesting conversation. But I do believe that in John Harbaugh, with the culture setting that he has, he'll make some things, he'll make some moves, he'll make some good decisions up from here that will really help them out. Take a break. Brian Tollberg around the corner, talking opening day and talking San Diego Padres. Don't go anywhere here on the Snake Sports Talk Show.
Want to find your seat for the event of your choice but can't get one that fits your desire or your budget? Well, my friends, SeatGeek has you covered. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show. With a list of over hundreds of events to choose from, SeatGeek will assure you that you won't miss your seat with the amazing view of your choice at the most affordable price. Whether it's looking for your best seat in the house of your favorite sports team, finding live concerts that get you closer to your favorite artist, or enjoying your spot at your favorite live shows, comedies, and more, SeatGeek has it all just for you. Go online to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. And as a special offer before checkout, use promo code SNAKESPORTS and save yourself $20 off of your purchase of your first ticket, and experience why SeatGeek is the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Remember, that's SeatGeek.com, and download the app on your phone with promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off and find your seat with SeatGeek.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Welcome back up and onto the show. Smacking Sunflower Seeds is opening day and opening week. It is going to be a fantastic night and week indeed. But treat yourself to the most delicious sunflower seeds and multitudes of different flavors. Get snacking with Smackin' here today. Happy opening day, everyone, on the Snake Sports Talk Show, wherever and however you may be watching and listening. As we got Brian Tollberg around the corner, lots of great conversations. You know, we talked about the Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza conversation, the New York Giants. I mean, I was so happy that I was able to at least get, one of our interview guests to talk a lot about just the hypes around New York. And I was thinking about it because the Giants, the Giants and the Jets, there are a bunch of teams right now that can really control their destiny. I would make the argument, I think the Giants could really control it because they got to go and get a secondary guy. They can go and get a receiver. I think the other thing is, you could really trade one of your assets. And I think in the draft day, there's lots of those that can happen and you could get compensations up for it. So there's lots of those things that I think could really work itself out. And I think the Jets, though, it'd be defense, offense, or it could be offense, defense. However you feel confident in it. And Aaron Glenn, I know the big thing of it is he's a defensive-minded guy. So, we understand it so much. And that's the one thing. That's the one thing that I would argue the Jets could really end up looking a lot better. I know most people don't really want to believe in that. You can believe in what you want to believe. But Arvell Reese, really good edge rusher. I would even make the argument a couple of other edge rushers. I mean, Ruben Bain is really good. And, the Jets, if they can go and get themselves another receiver to really help out with Geno Smith, I would even think that, do you go and get receiver in the first round because you got 2 picks there, or do you maybe address that into the second round? Because that's the other thing most of these executives really, really have to think about. So I would think that the Jets, they could go edge rusher. Now, it could either be wide receiver or it could be quarterback. So I think it's interesting. But so, there's a lot of different conversations. There's a lot of different breakdowns, but I'll be talking more about that along the weeks with the NFL draft. Joining us up and on the program, up and on opening night, Giants and Yankees, and also talking a lot more about all of the MLB teams this season as we got opening week this week. Brian Tollberg joins us on the program.
How are you?
Hey there, Brian. You're doing fantastic. I noticed there's a black on the screen right up over here because I can't see you up and on the other side.
Yeah.
But I can hear you. I can hear you well though.
Perfect.
So happy opening day to you, man. It's exciting. What a day it's got to be. So opening day, right? It's the traditional like kids on Christmas type of sound that you make when the spring is in the air, and the weather's great. So what's a opening day memory that you'll never forget, you cling on to, that really gets you excited for baseball season?
I think just getting out of the rut and the routine of spring training every day. I remember like the flyovers for the planes, like things like that are the things that I really remember distinctly. And it's just the start, and everybody's in first place at that point. So for me, it was all about like, what are we going to do with this season? What kind of momentum are we going to carry into the year? And have some fun in the process.
So Giants and Yankees tonight. This is the first time they'll be on Netflix. I'm curious to see what the numbers and ratings will be because this is the first time they're rolling this out. But, the Yankees, they're a team that really I have question marks about because, one, I thought it was interesting that they made a move to where they have Trent Grisham being the opening day starter instead of Jason Dominguez, who had been on fire in the preseason. So there's that. But Aaron Judge is fresh from the World Baseball Classic. And I would tend to argue, and I don't know your thoughts up on this, but I felt like our United States team, I give credit to the entirety of the pitching staff. And I hate to sound this way, but excluding Tariq Skubal in this regard to that respectfully. And I felt like if we couldn't get any hits with Bobby Witt and then Aaron Judge swinging and whiffing, that was what was going to be tough for the United States to come away with the gold. When you think about this, what do you think are picturing in Aaron Judge's head to where now he's coming into the season and what he needs to do for the Yankees this year?
Well, I think we were just talking about this last week. I think it's really tough to go out there and have the mindset of we're trying to win this whole thing as a group of, basically like all-stars. And at the same time, temper it down a little bit to be prepared so that you're ramping up at the right time for the season to start. So really difficult to do, in my opinion, to make sure you're getting enough reps and not going overboard, not trying to go a little bit harder than you need to go. I think he's always been traditionally kind of a slow starter, and then he gets hot. So I think he'll be fine, to be honest with you. I thought Venezuela's like just their passion that they showed in that championship. I love that.
Yes.
I thought just that couldn't have played out any better. A lot of people were kind of upset with the end of it, but like that's why you keep coming back to the game. So I love the ending of that series, to be honest.
Yeah, and I felt like, as professionals, right? I mean, there's contracts, there's clauses, there's all this other stuff. But I know that when you're in the global stage, right? Like I think of it this way. We had a great start to the 26th year because we watched the U.S. hockey team, both men's and women's, come away with gold. We watched the WBC to where you watch all these other countries compete. And you look at the international talent pool, it's growing larger and vastly quickly. So I felt like that there were guys that, one, if you're committed to playing in this thing, give it your all because you're representing your country. If you're not, that's your choice. You don't have to compete in this. But I have a tough time that when you come and compete, and then you just basically have a start, and then you're coming back up into Detroit. But the thing is, Brian, it's 162 games a year. The first 3 months are more of have fun, enjoy the weather, get some wins, get yourself the momentum, because by the time you get into August, September, October, it's go time. That's the only time that people want to really tune in. Tell me, what would you think? Like if you were in this position, right, and you had this choice. I mean, yeah, there are clauses. I feel like in contracts, there should be ones that if you compete in this, like, just know what you're going to get yourself into. Yeah. And I get it that these guys don't want to go out for the end of the season, but at the same time, you're at the start of this thing. So you only have a couple games to compete in, and then you can rest up a majority of the time.
Yeah, I think the timing of it is really what makes it tough. But, at the same time, the Venezuelan players or the Dominicans or the Mexicans, I mean, they're under the same kind of thought process. So when you put it in the terms of not necessarily where we want to prevent you from playing in it, but when this might be my contract year and I need to really go out with a bang this year, that might maybe prevent somebody from really wanting to go out there and getting on that stage and maybe kind of taking a pass in that regard. Yep. I never had a chance to do that. I almost had a chance to make the 2000 Olympic team, and then I got called up, and that kind of excluded me from being in that mix. But no, I think it's just such a neat experience, no matter how you cut it. And I applaud the guys that took the time to go out there and do it. Are some of them maybe going to be behind a little bit as a result because they didn't get enough reps in spring training, maybe? But you live and you learn, I guess.
So, so obviously everybody, wants to take their shots at the LA Dodgers. Oh, they got all this money. They got the cash cow, Shohei Ohtani. But here's the thing. I was talking with many different pros from Michael McKinry, Logan Morrison, multiple people. And I asked about this because we know the salary cap deal is going to be coming. And I would make the argument that, and I thought Pat Murphy, the longtime scout, said it best. You get yourself a salary cap and a floor, because ultimately it's pushing for a lot of these organizations like Pittsburgh, like the A's, like the Nationals. You got to spend more, because I would make the argument in life and in businesses. If you spend more, you will see the difference in quality. That's why you spend the money that you do, because they don't think about, look at how much you will save in the long run because you dealt with this problem early. So I would tend to think, don't hate the Dodgers. Hate the fact that they found a way to manipulate this system and the financial stuff, because, look, I work in a government job. I know deferred comps. I know about putting money in the back half. So with this salary cap, does it better relieve the issue, because everybody keeps thinking, lockout and all that? Because to me, I don't want to be benefiting more of the owners, because if you're an owner, you're putting the money on the table. The GM, the manager, they're going to be the ones to pick and choose and scout all these players. They're going to put the lineup there. So how do you see this really impacting in this game?
I think it's something that needs to be done. I mean, it's not something fun necessarily, but I've never seen a team get sold for a loss. So you're always going to appreciate it, and it's a hard sell. We're in Tampa Bay, and I know they're getting a new stadium here. If you have a winning organization and they know that you're fighting to always be trying to get into the playoffs, then that's an easier sell to the client base and your fan base, when they know, hey, we're here for the long term. It's not like we're just trying to play you against another city. So for me, I think you're going to be much more competitive across the board. I agree with you. Rather than getting competitive draft picks as a result or something along those lines. So I think it's something that needs to be done. I mean, kudos to the Dodgers that they found the loophole that they did. To be honest with you, I thought the Blue Jays should. I mean, if there's a better secondary lead off at third base last year, then we're having a different story, to be honest. So, neither here nor there. I think this year is going to be a very competitive year. I'm excited about the start of the season.
I was thinking about this because the San Diego Padres, you pitched with this team for 3 years, and to me, they have really been on various waves for years. I mean, the years of which the late Tony Gwynn, I loved watching that team with Ken Caminiti and many others. And then, you kind of get this rebuild feel where you still got some stars, but it felt like they were really working in the system. But now you're in a competitive league, okay? And you're in a competitive division with the Dodgers up top. The Giants get themselves a bat, and we'll see what they look like tonight. But Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, these are the main guys. And then you look at, a Jake Cronenworth and these guys. What does it need for them, for the Padres to really compete in this, to be scrappy? Because they always felt like those rule breakers in high school, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea how they're even getting away with it, but yet they're that smart that they're winning up in these games. Can that model really take surprise for teams like Dodgers and others in the National League?
I think if their pitching stays consistent and they stay healthy, I think a couple of years ago, alluding to your point, with Soto in there and Bogarts, and I think they had a little bit too many alpha males around, and there wasn't a lot of cohesiveness, to be honest with you. There was a ton of talent, but who was, where in the pecking order in the clubhouse and such. And so I think that they kind of addressed that the last couple of years. I think they are going to be a lot more streamlined version of themselves. And I think if the pitching staff, the years that you mentioned with Caminiti and Gwynn and what have you, they had deep starting pitching. Their bullpen was solid. You turned it over to Trevor at the end. They had offense. They had some speed on the top of the order. I think if they do something along those lines, I mean, we had that in 2008 with Tampa Bay here. So I think if you just have chemistry, and I think that's something that they've lacked a little bit the last couple of years. So I think if the chemistry's there from the top to the bottom, I think they'll compete very well in the NL West this year.
Absolutely. Brian, appreciate you for coming on by. Quick take. Who do you think is going to be the surprise of this MLB season that we least expected? I'll give you mine. I think the Kansas City Royals really are going to be that scrappy team after I watch Caglione and Pasquantino in the WBC.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we were talking about this a couple days ago. If the Pirates promote some people that are in the AAA level, Chandler, Connor Griffin, some of these guys that are coming up, and then Skeens maybe sees that like they're dedicated to winning down the road, they could be an interesting one. I think the Orioles have been kind of bubbling. If their pitching does what they're supposed to, I think they could be really a cool team to watch this year as well.
I'll keep my tabs up and on it, man. Brian, appreciate you for coming on by, man. Looking good. Very happy of the post-surgery, man, that you're doing well.
Yes, sir.
Happy opening day up and into you, man. This should be an exciting season. Enjoy the game, and we'll see what the season gives us this year.
You as well, Jake. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. There you go, folks. Happy opening day to everybody. Appreciate everyone for coming up and onto the show. We are out at Sports Talk Show. Appreciate all of our interviewers. Brian Tollberg joining us for opening day. Also, Mark. See you guys all next week. Take care of yourselves. Happy opening week, and we'll see throughout the entirety of the baseball season what surprises that we've got in store this year. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. We're out.